what we've got at hand. A team can be as physically ready as possible. The real question is, are they prepared mentally? Pressure, nerves, nation's expectation, and being away from home are all contributing factors that could have undesired effects on a player and a team. How does a team begin to deal with this? Well, joining us for more on this conversation is Julian from I2I Africa, an organization that assists individuals to hit their objectives and maximize their potential by clearly understanding the psychological strategies needed. Good morning to you, Julian. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Evan. Thanks a lot.
We're leaving for the World Cup on Wednesday. Bafana have just come back from the African Nations Cup over the weekend. Let's start with the cricket. Let's start on a high note, rather. Let's start with the cricket before we go into what happened. From the outside, do you think that mentally this Protea team is the best prepared for a World Cup that we've seen?
Yeah, but look, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I think the team technically, yes. I think they're in the top 2, top 3 of world cricket at this stage, which is quite interesting. I've just read an article where an Indian journalist has said that they don't even have South Africa in the top 5 as going into this tournament from a winning perspective. Are we going to win the tournament? They don't have us in the top 5. That's already the choking tag that's coming to the fore. Bearing in mind, we haven't worked recently with the South African cricket team. Mentally, the big players need to stand up. We've got big name players who've been there and done that on large and major international scale and stages. Those individuals need to stand up.
You mentioned the C word, the word that no South Africa wants to hear, but all South Africans talk about around the braai fires, choking. What is choking and why do we have this problem?
Okay, so the phenomenon of choking is really twofold. It's based around the fact of a fear of failure, and it's really around performance anxiety. So going into a major tournament, there's nothing more prominent and more spoken about than the Steven Gerrard situation in the last 12 months. The gentleman wanted the Premier League so badly. He spent the last 15 years wanting it so badly, and his motor skills failed him at the absolute moment when it did not need to.
Yeah.
So the focus and fear of anxiety unfortunately shifts the individual's attention from the end goal and the reward to the basic motor skills, which then inhibits and hinder performance in that individual.
Is that what we call end gaining, where the result supersedes everything else and you sort of lose yourself in the process? We have a problem, it seems, not just in our cricket team, but the same thing kind of played out at the African Nations Cup with Bafana, where we set ourselves up when we were within touching distance of claiming the glory of beating the top team in Africa and then Ghana and then Senegal, scoring first. That last 25 minutes, when it dawns on you, it's here, that's the time when we fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the AFCON is a prime example of experience versus the blooding of youngsters. Individuals who've been there, done that in the past, not getting the opportunity, and unfortunately, when, as you say, the big moment arrives. We were in the group of death, even. You know, it was expected of, I guess, the rest of the world that it would be a tough group. The South African public, who we've made a pastime out of setting high levels of expectations, and then when we get to a tournament or leading into a tournament, we inevitably start thinking, well, at what stage is our team going to fail? At what stage is the choke going to come in? And that plays on the minds of young individuals when you reach a stage where an entire nation's expectations are on you. It's a difficult place to be.
You talk about experience versus youth. The cricket side, we're going to the World Cup with a very experienced unit. Best batting lineup, best bowling lineup, best fielding unit. We should walk the World Cup, shouldn't we?
Absolutely. Again, as I say, technically, we've got it all. Do we have it mentally? I believe we've got a great mixture of young and old, and as you say, experienced players, the best batsmen in the world, as you say. You know, on any given day, Hashim Amla, AB de Villiers, those are the guys you want at the crease at the big moments. What we need to be doing is we need to be focusing on each game individually. We need to be understanding what we're going into and play the big moments. The big players need to step up.
I want to talk about you mentioned the big players. I want to talk about, and we put the group up, and we can talk about the group and what it looks like. But I want to talk about the influence of a guy like Hashim Amla, for instance. He seems to have such a calming influence on the rest of the side. Do you think under the pump in big games, like we're going to be facing in the World Cup, someone like Hashim Amla could be the catalyst to calm a team down?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the work that we do is about focusing the mind and calming the mind. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. A man like Hashim Amla, you would have heard recently when Riley was making, the 130-odd knock he made, the first thing he walked off the field and spoke about was the calming influence that a player like Hashim Amla had on him during that innings. So the guys of the like Hashim Amla, they'll stay on his day when he's focused. The rest of the players just feel that energy, and it's all around that.
Now the mind games have already started. Now the Australians, you can be guaranteed that they're going to try and needle you. Fortunately, they're not in our group. I think it's a group we'll get out quite easily into the last 8. So that's one thing. But I want to talk about the mind games that the Proteas are going to face. They're going to face a lot of mind games when they get to Australia. The Aussies are past masters at that sort of thing. They've already yesterday, after beating England in this match that we see in the final of the Tri-Series there, they came out, well, now we are the favourites, out-and-out favourites for the World Cup. No other team can beat us on our home ground and so forth, not even South Africa. What do you say to that, and then the barrage that they will face from the public and the media and everyone in Australia once they step off the plane there later this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's unavoidable. So we've got to be putting in strategies in place to cope with those areas that we're going to be facing. One of the other areas around choking is when an individual is focusing on external factors, that barrage of information, as you call it, the overload of information, can steer an individual off target. The reward, South Africa have to, as I said previously, we've got to understand that we want this World Cup. As a South African nation, we all want to see that the Proteas come back with a World Cup. However, we've got to take this one moment at a time, one big game and one big moment in a match at a time. So absolutely, the choking tag I can almost guarantee you when we step off the plane, that would be the first thing that we mentioned.
What's your advice to the South African public ahead of this tournament?
Put your feet up and enjoy it, I guess. Again, as I said, the pressure is going to be there. The South African public, as the tournament goes on, you're 100% right. We're expected to comfortably come out of this group, as we have in many of the past World Cups. It's when it gets to knockout stage where the South African public may start getting a little nervous. And I would say, we've got to keep supporting and remaining calm and taking each game as it comes.
Well, Julian, I hope that things go right this time. We've got real legacy issues from the rainy 92, Donald dropping his bat in 99, and a whole host of other, I don't even want to mention 2003 when we couldn't add the extra run when the rain came down. So hopefully we can bury the hatchet and move on from this. Thank you for joining us today. Before we go, that's Julian Delahunt who says that we've got strategies in place. Let's hope we can pull it off. Anyhow, let's have a quick final look at some of the tweets that you're on about this morning at SABC Newsroom. Of course, well, we're talking about Simba Mere, who passed away tragically Saturday morning at about 5 a.m. in a car crash. May the Lord be with you, despite how we feel about your loss. The Lord knew on this day before you were even formed in your mom's womb. Okay, Sanjay, I suggest you get a dictionary or use spell check, my friend. Prosper Choir says, as Simba from Pulani says, may your beautiful souls find peace in heaven. You guys will always be remembered, no doubt about that. Rest in peace. And then Tando Ngomalo says, I still cannot believe that Simba Mere is no more. What a talent, ever smiling and humble guy. This is so sad. You can keep those tributes coming. At SABC Newsroom is where we will put those tweets up. We'll keep on running those tweets for the rest of the week. That's where we wrap it. Rest in peace, Simba. Our thoughts are with your family this week. Newsroom, of course, broadcast live from our studios here in Auckland Park, Johannesburg, every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. The show repeats at 2 in the afternoon. Total rebroadcast then at 5 a.m. the following day. We also stream live on YouTube at that time, and you can watch the show on demand on our YouTube channel if you miss it. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. We love it in the morning.